Good day, everyone, and thanks for joining us, and welcome to this week's learning session from Training Location. We're an authorized DiSC distributor for Wiley Publishing, as well as a channel partner with the Ken Blanchard Companies. My name is Bill Harshman, and I'll be your presenter today for this short, informative lesson. Excuse me. Now, we know that the four-quadrant DiSC model actually houses a total of 12 styles. This lesson continues our increased understanding of not just the four quadrants with which we're already familiar, moreover, how changing proximity or distance to a neighboring style within a particular quadrant yields a result which identifies a separate, unique DiSC style. So today's focus is on one of those styles, and that will be the CS or conscientious steady style. Now, where'd this come from? Well, as the disk has evolved and become totally computer-based, the algorithms showed a much more robust capability to plot your dot very specifically within one of the four quadrants. Research showed that the analysis and weighting of the results placed the same styles in various places of the same quadrant. Simply put, the result was different degrees of the same style and slightly differing, let's say, preferences and priorities. Now, what's in this for the learner? So this lesson will be helpful if you haven't taken the DiSC, if you don't know your DiSC style, or if you're a style other than CS or conscientious steady. Now, just a note here, any style with two letters, I call a combined style. Depending on the sequencing of the combined style letters, the first style is more prominent than the second style. For example, in the case of CS, the C is the prominent style. As such, in the case of the combined CS style, much of the criteria, the priorities, qualities, etc., are reflective of the conscientious quadrant where the CS style resides. Okay. A quick summary of the CS style. Let's start with what we know. We already know a couple basics about the CS style, which resides in the conscientious quadrant again. This C quadrant includes CS, C, and CD that has a pace of cautious and reflective combined with an agreeableness quotient of questioning and skeptical or result focused. And the brief list of observable descriptors still includes analytical, reserved, precise, private, and systematic. Now, from our model, we also know that the CS style priorities differ slightly from those of the C and the CD neighboring them and include stability, accuracy, and support. Now, as we proceed in this lesson, you'll notice one or more of these priorities identified in our CS candidate. I would encourage you to refer to our blog on the website, Everything DiSC Workplace Profile, the 8 priorities, if you'd like to understand more about priorities associated with all the styles, in this case, specifically the CS. The thrust of this lesson is around the priorities and qualities that tie those aforementioned descriptors together. Let's begin by examining the CS priorities. Now, priorities, which are listed around the circumference of the model, are the primary areas where people focus their energy depending on their DiSC style. Everyone has at least 3 priorities. Some have 4 to 5, but having more than 3 is no better or worse. I'm sharing priorities from the assessment called Everything DiSC Workplace Profile in this example. The Everything DiSC Workplace priorities are unique to you and based on your specific results. Now, priorities simply help us understand how our style might be reflected in motivations and behaviors given real life work scenarios. The important thing to remember is that when things get foggy, such as when stress or uncertainty appear, we seek the priorities associated with our style. Let's review the priorities of the CS style, which are shared with the adjacent SC style. First, stability. Now, the CS seeks to attain consistent outcomes. Cautious in nature, they may prefer to work in a predictable environment with few surprises. Next is accuracy. The CS prefers to work systematically to produce quality work and effective solutions, all within an analytical approach. Third is support. The CS tends to be accommodating and willing to forfeit their own needs and preferences as necessary. They're typically patient and diplomatic and aren't likely to become overly emotional when they're pushed. Next, we consider the qualities of the CS style. Qualities are similar to core needs that we've talked about previously in earlier articles. However, they're less unconscious and more at the surface near conscious observable behavior. Their qualities vary and are represented in scales. And just another note here, due to the pairings of styles to form a particular scale, you'll notice that these dual letter designations are shared with their neighboring dual letter mirror, I call. For example, the CSSC styles are physically paired together, and as such, they share qualities. Same is true of the CD or DC proximity, the ID and DI proximity, and the IS and SI proximity. So the result is 8 DiSC scales instead of 12, which you might expect. So we have 12 styles contained within 8 DiSC scales, which are listed there. Let me note one more thing. Though the CS and SC styles are separate and unique, you can consider the CS and SC styles as one scale when it comes to their qualities. Okay, let's take a look. Let's review the qualities of the CS SC styles since they're the same qualities, which include stability, harm avoidance, and modesty. Let's break these qualities down a little bit. So for stability, if you ask the CS, they will tell you that chaos and uncertainty are generally uncomfortable for them. They take a cautious approach to change and prefer to maintain the status quo. They have a better sense of what to expect, and this allows them to trust their persistent, conscientious efforts will pay off. Second, the CS may maintain a level of comfort by surrounding themselves with predictable routines and steady relationships. A lot of their energy can be spent trying to secure this comfort zone, if you will, to make it a safe, stable place. If this is challenged, it can be particularly draining and stressful to the CS style. Harm avoidance. Now, the CS wants to scan their environment and consider all the variables before they act. The CS also wants to absorb all information, and as such, they may be reluctant to change or move forward due to the impossibility to predict all different implications. And the CS wants to avoid failure. As such, they may hesitate to jump into a task they believe is beyond their skill, or keep unconventional ideas to themselves to avoid criticism. And last, modesty. The CS tends to be content with stable work, and they know well, and they're often willing to work behind the scenes. Modestly, they don't tend to self-promote, causing their contributions and talents to sometimes go unnoticed. And last, when the CS must deal with forceful people, they may quietly question whether their opinions are worthwhile. They prefer to have a rock solid case before asserting their perspective. Should they be shown a crack in their argument, they may back down without much of a fight. Now, where the CS and SC styles differ. So, up until now, I've referred to the neighboring CS SC styles interchangeably in terms of the overlap of their priorities and their qualities, respectively. However, it's important to remember they are two different DiSC styles. The unique placement of those dots on the DiSC model is determined by computer algorithms. And I want to share some clarifying information that will help identify the difference and make this distinction clear. This table shows that the two styles share priorities and qualities by the green bars indicated. However, in terms of their other criteria, as determined where their respective dots fall within the different quadrants on the DiSC model. To some, these differences may seem very subtle. However, lumping the two styles together would be inaccurate. One of our cornerstone principles we learned earlier is each and all 12 DiSC styles are unique and equally valuable. So just take a quick look at the comparison of those criteria. All right, let's move on. So that was a lot of new, detailed, complex information. What do I glean from that? How do I apply meaning to my daily life? Well, let's just consider one thing. There is an implication for leadership. The CS style gets 360 feedback from their managers, direct reports, and peers, which points to the lowest ratings when it comes to speaking or acting authoritatively, managing up for their teams, pushing for change through resistance, and tackling problems in a timely manner. Conversely, the CS style got their highest ratings when it comes to being being receptive to other people's needs, maintaining composure during stress, being diplomatic, open to input, and facilitating dialogue. Now, just consider some of the assumptions operating within people who have the CS style. If you're CS, see which one of these fit for you. I should never be the source of someone else's unhappiness. I must maintain my credibility. I'm only half pretending that I know what I'm doing. And if things aren't completely stable, things are wrong. So what? Well, the so what is for the CS to consider how they would increase their effectiveness, kind of the overall goal of our style identification. At a glance, the CS tends to be more moderate in nature, leaning toward middle of the road approaches. They describe themselves using words like peaceful or calm or serene. However, there is less of a tendency for them to get bored with routine compared to other styles. This can be a challenge for the CS when major change, for example, is facing a work group or an organization. This lesson today can help the CS to increase the effectiveness by accepting and understanding their style, then incorporating what they know about other styles toward improved communication. All right. I hope this overview has increased your awareness, your knowledge, and familiarity of the DiSC, and specifically the CS style. Whether your needs include leadership, onboarding, culture change, conflict management, or just simply communication 101, DiSC is a research-based, proven leading training solution. It's impacted more than 8 million learners in over 130,000 organizations and through 14 languages in over 70 countries worldwide. DiSC provides a quick, intuitive way to understand yourself and others, and DiSC delivers an immediate and lasting impact on people and culture. And as always, my mantra, the key to effectiveness through DiSC is understanding your and other styles, then using that knowledge for improved interactions. We have several Everything DiSC assessments to help you craft individual and team solutions at our website. And here's our contact information. Before you go, I'd like to extend you a resource and a request. I'll be happy to send you a sample PDF of any of the DiSC profiles you see on our website, or if you'd like to discuss a complimentary live webinar introducing DiSC or one of the profiles to your team or organization, use the email shown, info@traininglocation.com, and be sure and check out our learning blog for other blogs that are very helpful, and keep an eye out for our next article in the series. And before you close your screen, we always appreciate your like, your share, your download, and of course, for continued learning, please subscribe and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye till next time.